Okay, here we are in video number 2 of lesson 28, and we are looking at this problem: 3.5 gallons or 3 5/10 gallons equals to how many quarts? Hopefully this seems familiar to you. I'm just going to walk you through it step by step. In this lesson, we are looking at converting measurements from larger units to smaller units and from smaller units to larger units, just like we did in the previous lesson 27, except we are using customary measurements instead of metrics, okay? So 3.5 gallons equals blank quarts. So we're going to start by setting it up. We're going to say 3.5 gallons, 3.5 times 1 gallon, right? All we're doing is expanding 3.5 gallons out to 3.5 times 1 gallon, right? This means the same thing. The reason that we're doing that is so that we can substitute 3.5 times how many quarts are in a gallon. All right, so there's 4 quarts in a gallon. And if you didn't know that, you could look at your reference chart. 4 quarts equals 1 gallon. All right, now before we do this, let's think about, are there going to be more gallons or more quarts? If there's 4 quarts in 1 gallon, then we're going to end up with more quarts, right? Okay, so then we need to do the multiplication here. So let me grab a pen, and we're going to multiply 3 5/10 times 4. Now remember, when you multiply, you're going to put the one with the more digits on the top, not the greater number. This is a good example of that, right? 4 is greater, but 3.5 has 2 digits, so we're going to put that on the top. 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. And when we multiply decimals, we look at how many places we have in the question. You can see there's one number that's to the right of the decimal, so we want one number to the right of the decimal in our answer. So 3 5/10 gallons is equal to 14 quarts. And that's how we solve it, right? Okay, so just wanted to walk you through that and make sure that you had a good understanding of that at the beginning of this lesson. Let me just clear off our screen here, and we're going to look at another question. There we go. Let's look at 4 5/10 yards, and that's the abbreviation of yards. I just like to write it out so it's super clear to you, right? Is equal to how many feet, all right? And we could abbreviate it as feet as well. All right, so we're going to be changing yards to feet. Our first step is always to expand it out. 4.5 times 1 yard. All right, all we're doing is taking our 4.5 yards and we're writing it this way so that we can substitute it. Okay, if you don't understand why we do that, please ask in class so I can show it to you, I don't know, a little bit different, or maybe some more for you to understand it. And in 1 yard, it's not here, okay, on our reference sheet. And I don't think it's going to be on the reference sheet in your test. So please make sure that you know, right over here, that 1 yard is the same as 3 feet, okay? This is about as big as a meter stick, right? A meter stick and a yardstick. So 1 yard is 3 feet. So that means I'm going to substitute here 4 5/10 times 3 feet. So my 1 yard and my 3 feet are the same. That's why I'm writing it like this. So I know what I'm going to multiply. I'm going to multiply 4 5/10 times 3 feet. Let me pick up my pen here. Let's do it in purple. Once again, I'm going to put the number that has the most digits on the top. 4 5/10 times 3. I'm going to multiply 5 times 3 is 15. Carry the 1. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. And then I have one number to the right of the decimal place in my question. So I'm going to have one number to the right of the decimal place in my answer. So that says that 4 and 5/10 yards is equal to 13 and 5/10 feet. Does that make sense? Should we stop and think about that for a minute? If I have 4.5 of those long yardsticks, then I'm going to have more feet, right? Because each one of those yardsticks is 3 feet. Okay, so you want to make sure that your answer makes sense. All right, and let's do one more. Let's clear our screen. And let's do one more question, which is 7 and 25/100 pounds. Remember, LB stands for pounds, is equal to blank ounces. OZ stands for ounces. Okay, now let's see. Pounds to ounces. Let's look at our chart. 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces, right? Okay, so 16 ounces in every pound, that means that my ounces is going to be larger than my pounds, right? As far as the number, yeah? Okay, so we're going to expand it out. 7 and 25/100 times 1 pound, and 7 and 25/100 times 16 ounces. All right, and now I just need to do the math. 7 and 25/100, putting the one with more digits on the top, times 16 ounces. And I'm going to go ahead and let you work on that one on your own and put your answer into Edpuzzle. Okay, so that will be number 1 in Edpuzzle. Go ahead and do that. And we're going to continue. You can pause the video so you can put that into Edpuzzle. And we're going to continue and work on converting measurements from smaller units to larger units now. So we're going to go the other way around. And let me put the problem up there for you. Okay, now we have 40 ounces, and we want to know how many pounds is that. Oops. LB or pounds, right? Okay, so 40 ounces is how many pounds? Once again, looking at our reference sheet, I know that 1 pound is 16 ounces. But now I'm going from a smaller measurement, ounces, to a larger measurement, pound. I'm still going to do the same thing where I'm going to write 40 times 1 ounce. And then I'm going to substitute. But now I have to substitute how much is 1 ounce in pounds. Okay, so 1 ounce is 1/16 of a pound, right? 1/16. Because 1/16 of a pound is 1 ounce. Got that? Okay, so now I'm just going to multiply 40 times 1 is 40 over 16. And sorry, that's the only way I can do fractions, but it's 40 over 16. Okay, so 40 over 16 is an improper fraction, right? So now I need to divide 40 divided by 16. Okay, so 16 goes into 40. How many times? Well, 16 times 2 would be about 32. So 3 would be too big, right? So let's just double check that. 6 times 2 is 12. 2 times 1 plus 1 is 32. So I'm going to say it's going to go in. Notice how I put it over the 0 of the 40, right? And then I have 32, multiply, right? Divide, multiply. Now I'm going to subtract. Make sure I'm not subtracting backwards. 10 minus 2 is 8. So now I have 8. I'm going to put a decimal, right? What we learned in our last topic. I'm going to bring that down. And 16 goes into 80. How many times? 16 times something is equal to 80. Well, if 2 is equal to 32, I'm going to try 4. I think it might be 5. 6 times 4 is 24. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. And you know, always I tell you, don't erase these things, right? So keep them around, because the more you're working with pounds, you're going to have a lot of 16s. So you could always just keep them on your paper on the side. Let's try 5. 6 times 5 is 30. There we go. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. So that puts my 5 here right above my 0. 5 times 16 is 80. Subtract, and I'm done. So 40 ounces is equal to 1 5/10 pounds. All right, now does that make sense? Each ounce is only 1/16 of a pound, so a pound is going to be the larger amount, but the smaller number, right? Okay, starting to understand how that works, going back and forth. Okay, let's do 2 more problems to practice that. So we'll clean off our screen here, and we'll look at, okay, let's look at 57 inches is equal to how many feet? Okay, 57 inches is equal to how many feet? So let's make it a little bit bigger for us. There we go. All right. So I'm going to, the first step is always to substitute 57 times 1 inch. And then 57 times. Now, I have to ask myself, 1 inch is how many feet, right? So I have 1 inch. Let's look at our reference chart. We don't have very many measurements of length here in our reference chart. So hopefully you know, but let's just write it down. 12 inches equal 1 foot. Okay, so think about that small ruler that we have in class. That's 12 inches, and that's 1 foot. So 57 times, oh, not times 12, because I'm substituting for 1 inch, times 1/12, because my 1 inch is 1/12 of a foot, because I'm going from inches, which are smaller, than feet that are larger. Okay, so 57 times 1/12 is 57 twelfths. All right, so now I have an improper fraction, and I need to divide 57. Remember, your top number falls inside the box, divided by 12. Okay, well, 12s, some of us know our 12s. You know, I'm not very good at my 12s. It's kind of funny. So 12 times 4 is 48, right? Okay, so 12 times 4 is 48. Let's subtract. Okay, 17 minus 8 is 9. Now I'm going to put a decimal because I am going to keep going like we learned in our last topic. Good practice too. So now 90 divided by 12. Well, times 8 would be 96. So I'm going to go times 7 because that's 84. Okay, and let's subtract. 10 minus 4 is 6. Put another 0. We're going to keep going all the way at least to 2 decimal places out to the hundredths place, right? And I know that 5 times 12 is 60. Okay, there we go. And bring it all the way till it's zeroed out so you know you're done. So 57 inches is the same as 4 75 hundredths feet. Okay, And I know that if you're 5 feet tall, you're 60 inches tall. So this is just a little less than 5 feet, right? 57 inches. And our measurement is just a little less than 5 feet, 4 75 feet. Okay, excellent. Let's do one more. And that will be 6 5/10 C. C stands for cups, is equal to how many PT? PT stands for pints. Okay, so we're going from cups to pints. Let's look at our reference chart. 2 cups in 1 pint. Okay, so 2 cups in 1 pint, that means that 1 cup is half of a pint, right? There's 2 cups inside of 1 pint. Picture a pint. It's about this big. It's the tall one that your parents might get creamer in, kind of tall and skinny. So that's 2 cups. So let's see, 6 5/10 times 1 cup. 6 5/10 times 1/2 pint. Okay, remember, you want your 2 substitutes. They have to be the same. All right, and then we just need to multiply. Now we have 6 5/10 times 1/2. So we have decimals times fractions. I think the easiest thing to do would be to change your fraction, 6 5/10, to 5/10, and do 6 5/10 times 5/10, right? 5/10 is the same as 1/2. Okay, 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 2 is 32, and magic 0, and 0, and 0, and that would be 2, 3, and we have 2 to the right of the decimal in our problem. So in our answer, we're going to have 2 digits to the right of the decimal. So our answer is 3 25 pints. And that makes sense because we know that a cup is less than a pint. So 6 1/2 cups is 3 25 pints. Okay, awesome job. Looks like we're ready for our funny video.
Give me a high five. Uh-oh.
Here he comes. Here comes Jim.
Reese.
All right, see you in the next video.